Hello and welcome to Living English. Today we're going to look again at verb tenses and especially at something called the infinitive. But first, last time in our drama, Anne discovered that her brother David had a baby son called Sam. Today, David explains why he disappeared and what he has been doing.
What happened? Why did you stop writing?
I started my course at university, but it was very difficult. Computer science isn't for me.
Did you fail your exams?
Yes, I let everyone down. I just wanted to die. Dad must be so angry.
He's just worried about you, David.
I didn't know what to do. I was so confused. I had to find a job. I couldn't use Father's money anymore. So I applied for a job at the markets, and Phil was very kind. He agreed to give me a job if I could get a working visa.
How did you?
I went home and applied for it.
You mean you went back to Singapore?
Yes. I was too ashamed to see anyone. I'm such a failure.
I don't think you're a failure.
Anyway, I returned here and I started work. I met Rose and we moved in together, and well, then Sam came along.
It's an amazing story.
I think it's wonderful.
Mum and Dad won't think it's that wonderful.
They'll be so relieved you're safe. We didn't know what to think, David.
I don't know what his parents will think about it all. If you keep watching, you'll find out. Let's listen again to what David did when he failed his course.
I didn't know what to do. I was so confused. I had to find a job.
David is talking about the past. He didn't know what to do. Remember that when we use did or didn't, we are talking about the past. I didn't know is the negative, and I did know is the positive. We use did with the basic form of a verb called an infinitive. Know is the infinitive. There are two ways of forming a past tense with the verb know. I did know, and with the past tense of know, knew. I knew. These phrases are saying the same thing. I did know, I knew. When we are telling someone about the past, we often use a past tense with the basic form of a verb. Listen.
I had to find a job.
Practice saying, I had to find a job with David.
I had to find a job.
The past tense is had and the infinitive is to find. We use the word have and its past tense had in a number of ways. On Living English, we've looked at how have and had form perfect tenses with other verbs such as the present perfect have done for things that have just happened, or the past perfect had done for things that have happened in the past and are finished. Have is also used as an ordinary verb, and the ordinary verb have has more than one meaning. It can mean to possess or own something. For example, I have a car. I have a job. In the sentence, I had to find a job, had means needed. I needed to find a job. If I lose my job, I have to find another. If Michelle loses her job, she has to find another. We can say that you have to study. If you tell someone to do something, they might just say, "Do I have to?" And what did David have to do?
I had to find a job.
When we use a verb straight after to, we always use the basic form or present. So we say to find and not to found. We call this basic form, such as find, the infinitive. Let's look at other examples of using the past tense, then the infinitive. Listen carefully in this clip for one example.
Phil was very kind. He agreed to give me a job.
He agreed to give me a job. Agreed is the past tense of agree. He agreed to give. The past tense agreed is followed by the infinitive to give. Listen again for the pattern of past tense followed by an infinitive when David tells Anne that he went back to Singapore for a visa.
I was too ashamed to see anyone.
The past tense is was. He was too ashamed. The infinitive is to see. He was too ashamed to see anyone. Now it's your turn. Put these sentences into the past tense. I have to finish my assignment. I had to finish my assignment. He agrees to allow smoking. He agreed to allow smoking. I know what to do. I knew what to do. I want to work overseas. I wanted to work overseas. Now listen to the past tense formed by the word didn't, followed by infinitives.
We didn't know what to think, David.
Anne used the infinitives know and to think. But she's talking about the past because she says, we didn't know what to think. Practice saying that with Anne.
We didn't know what to think, David.
And here's Michelle. Hello, Michelle.
Hello, Brenton. Hello, everyone. I don't know what to think either. Imagine not telling your parents that you've had a baby.
What have you got for us today, Michelle?
I've got some dice. I want you to play a simple game with me to help us revise different forms of words and verb tenses.
Okay.
I have to tell you a number. You have to roll the dice. And you must score a number higher than the number I tell you.
Okay. Higher than. So the number on the dice must be greater than the number you say.
If the number is greater, you have succeeded.
Woohoo.
If it's lower, you've failed.
Oh.
And then you have to tell me what verb tense I used to describe what you did.
Oh, okay.
And at home, you tell me too. Okay? Ready? 2. Roll more than 2.
Ah, 7.
You've succeeded.
You've succeeded. That's the present perfect tense. Have succeeded. We use it for things that have just happened.
Correct. Try again. This time, you must score more than 10.
No, 4.
Oh, you've failed.
That's the present perfect again. Have failed. Do I get another turn?
Yes. You must score more than 3.
Yes, 6.
You're a success.
A success. That's a noun.
Correct. Now roll again, but you have to score 12 to stay a success.
10.
You failed.
Failed is the past tense. We use it for things that have happened in the past.
Correct. You stay in the game.
Oh.
But you have to score more than 10 again?
Oh, 3.
You're a failure.
A failure. That's a noun. And that's what David called himself. Listen.
I'm such a failure.
Roll again. You have to get more than 3.
Oh, 10.
You're succeeding.
Succeeding. That's the present continuous. We use it for things that are happening now.
Oh, enough, Brenton. You win.
I succeeded. Now listen to Anne ask David about his exams.
Did you fail your exams?
She uses the word did, so she says fail and not failed. Did you fail your exams?
And did he?
Yes, I let everyone down.
What does he mean, he let everyone down?
He means he disappointed everyone. He didn't do what they wanted.
Now, we don't want you to let us down. I'm going to say what score is needed. Then you roll the dice. I'll tell you what form of the words succeed or fail to use.
Okay.
More than 2.
9.
Past tense. For something that's happened in the past.
I succeeded.
Roll a 12.
Yeah, 6.
Present perfect. For something that has just happened.
I've failed. Or I have failed.
More than 10.
3.
Noun. To name someone.
I'm a failure. Just like David.
I don't think you're a failure.
Isn't that nice?
Now, let's listen to David telling part of his story.
Because he's telling a story about the past, he uses past tense a lot. See how many past tense verbs you can hear.
It's more than 3.
Anyway, I returned home and I started work and I met Rose. We moved in together and then Sam came along.
There are 5. Did you hear them? The 5 verbs in their past tense form are returned, started, met, moved, and came. We hope you've learnt how to tell people about things in the past.
In our next program, we'll show you how to make suggestions.
And we'll find out what David will do.
Hello, and welcome again to Living English. Today, we're looking at the words should and ought to, and at persuading. In our last episode of Sisters and Brothers, David told his story, why he didn't contact his parents or Anne for so long. Now Anne has found him, he has to work out what to do next.
They'll be so relieved you're safe. We didn't know what to think, David.
Can't I just disappear? You can pretend I don't exist.
Oh, you should have told me. I could have helped. Didn't you realise we'd come and look for you?
I just couldn't face Dad.
You could have told your sister.
I ought to have told you, Anne. I should have trusted you. I'm so sorry.
He's so beautiful, David. You can't keep him from Mum and Dad.
They're flesh and blood, David. They're Sam's grandparents. Don't you think they want to see him? Don't you think I want to meet your parents?
Rose is right, David. Mum and Dad so much want to be grandparents.
But not like this.
Your secret's out now.
Steve! It's all right, Sarah. Steve's right. I think David knows what he has to do.
What do you suggest? Hello, Mum. It's me, David. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm alright. Yep. Anne found me. Yeah, I'm working. Look, I'm so sorry that I didn't call you. Can you forgive me? Yeah. Okay, alright. I love you too. Yeah. Alright. Mum's crying. She's gone to get Dad. He's gonna be so angry. Hello, Dad?
I wonder if David's father will be as angry as David thinks. We'll find out in the next episode. First, what does David think he should do? Listen.
Can't I just disappear? You can pretend I don't exist.
David suggests he should disappear. He says, "Can't I?" He's suggesting something. Try saying, "Can't I just disappear?" with David.
Can't I just disappear?
Now let's look at some useful phrases. Should have, could have, ought to have. They are all to do with things that David didn't do in the past, and Anne thinks he was wrong not to do them. What are these things? Let's listen.
You should have told me. I could have helped. Didn't you realise we'd come and look for you?
I just couldn't face Dad.
You could have told your sister.
I ought to have told you, Anne. I should have trusted you.
Should have is used to talk about things it would have been better to do in the past. You can use it about other people or yourself. First, try saying it after Anne.
Oh, you should have told me.
Try some others using should have. I worn a jacket. I should have worn a jacket. Now I'm cold. You left earlier. You should have left earlier. Now you'll be late. They asked me to come. They should have asked me to come, and now I'm sad. And should have can be contracted to should have. The negative is shouldn't. I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. Anne also uses the phrase could have. Listen again.
I could have helped. Didn't you realise we'd come and look for you?
I just couldn't face Dad.
You could have told your sister.
Anne uses the phrase could have twice. I could have helped and you could have told your sister. Could is the past tense of can. By saying I could have helped, Anne is saying that she would have been able to help David in the past if he had let her. By saying this, she is also saying it would have been better for her to help. She also says, you could have told your sister. Anne is telling David off. She is angry with him because she is his sister and he kept a secret from her. Try saying, you could have told your sister with Anne.
You could have told your sister.
The final way of talking about things not done in the past is ought to. Listen to David use this phrase.
I ought to have told you, Anne. I should have trusted you. I'm so sorry.
David says, I ought to have told you. Ought to has a very similar meaning to should have. If you ought to do something, it is the right thing to do. You ought to give that money back. You stole it. David ought to have told his sister, because she is his sister and he should have trusted her. Try saying ought to in these phrases. You tell the truth. You ought to tell the truth. She win. She ought to win because she's the best. But notice that we say, I ought to have, not just I ought have. The negative is ought not or oughtn't.
Excuse me,
Yes?
don't you think you should introduce me?
You're right. I ought to have introduced you before. I should have told the viewers who you are. Now, this is Michelle Croden. Hello, Michelle.
Hello, Brenton. And hello, viewers.
What else are we looking at today?
We're looking at persuading.
What is persuading?
To persuade someone is to convince them about something, to get them to agree with you. In the story, Rose and Anne agree with each other that David should go and see his parents and take his son Sam with him. But David isn't so sure. Let's look at how Anne and Rose persuade David to change his mind. How many reasons can you hear why David should go?
He's so beautiful, David. You can't keep him from Mum and Dad.
They're your flesh and blood, David. They're Sam's grandparents. Don't you think they want to see him? Don't you think I want to meet your parents?
Rose is right, David. Mum and Dad so much want to be grandparents.
But not like this.
Your secret's out now.
What was Anne's reason why David should go home?
She thought her parents would want to see their grandson.
Let's look at what she says.
He's so beautiful, David. You can't keep him from Mum and Dad.
She says, you can't keep him from Mum and Dad. You can't or cannot stop Mum and Dad from seeing him. Is she right?
When Anne says you can't, she's not saying that it is impossible for David to stop his parents from seeing Sam. She is saying strongly that it would be wrong.
Look at Brenton and persuade him that what he is doing is wrong by saying, you can't. You can't read a book while we're presenting Living English. You can't leave yet. We haven't finished. You can't sit there. It's too far back. Now, let's look at Rose's reasons for David going home.
They're your flesh and blood, David. They're Sam's grandparents. Don't you think they want to see him? Don't you think I want to meet your parents?
Rose said, they're your flesh and blood. That doesn't sound very nice. What does it mean?
Saying someone is your flesh and blood just means that they are your blood relatives. They are related to you directly. So your parents and your children are your blood relatives.
But your wife or husband aren't. And your wife or husband's family aren't either.
What other reasons does she give?
She says they're Sam's grandparents. So David's parents are blood relatives to David's son, Sam, too.
And finally, she says, don't you think I want to meet your parents?
The expression, don't you think, is another way of persuading someone to your point of view.
This time, help me persuade Michelle she is doing the wrong thing using don't you think. Should pay attention. Don't you think you should pay attention? Being rude. Don't you think you're being rude? Should put that mirror down. Don't you think you should put that mirror down?
Oh, all right then. Let's look at the most persuasive argument of all.
Persuasive is the adjective from the verb persuade.
Your secret's out now.
Steve!
Steve says, your secret's out now. A secret is something you don't want someone else to know. But now David has been found, so his secret isn't a secret anymore. Finally today, let's look at two uses of a small word, so. Listen and see if you can hear them.
Look, I'm so sorry that I didn't call you. Can you forgive me? He's gonna be so angry.
So, used like this, is just another way of saying very. It's a bit stronger than very. I'm so sorry. I'm very sorry. By saying he's so sorry, David is telling his mother he is really, really sorry.
And he says, Dad is going to be so angry. He thinks his father is going to be really, really angry.
And I'm so sorry to say we have to go.
Hello, and welcome again to Living English. Today, we're looking at what you can say if you need to apologize to someone or if you do something the other person doesn't like. You may remember, in our last episode of Sisters and Brothers, David phoned his mother to tell her he was all right. Now, he is talking to his father, and he's explaining why he has not spoken to his father for 2 years. Here's How Could You?
Hello, Dad? It's me, David.
Do you realize how ready we've been?
Yes,
You're our son. How could you do this to us?
I'm sorry for causing you so much worry, Dad. I thought that you'd be angry. That's why I didn't tell you I couldn't study anymore.
Of course I'm angry. Your mother's been sick with worry. But you didn't have to disappear. What have you been doing all this time?
I've been working. I work at the market. I'm going to be a partner in the business soon. And Dad, there's something else. I'm with someone. And we have a baby boy. Dad? Dad, are you still there?
Did you say you were married?
Not exactly. I have a partner. Her name is Rose. And we have a son. Your grandson? Dad?
I'm here, David. There's too much to think about. I want you to come home.
But
No buts. You need to come home. Bring her. Bring Rose and our grandson. Your mother and I love you. We want to see you. We want to meet your family.
Well, David's father was very angry, but perhaps he was right to be angry. David's father asks David some questions which are not really questions. He is telling David how angry and upset he is. Let's look again at these.
Hello, Dad? It's me, David.
Do you realize how ready we've been?
Yes,
You're our son. How could you do this to us?
David's father, Norman, asks David, do you realize or understand how worried we've been? He doesn't really want David to answer. He is telling David that they have been very worried. Try saying this phrase at home with the clip.
Do you realize how ready we've been?
Let's try a few other phrases like this, starting with, do you realize? how late you are. Do you realize how late you are? What the time is. Do you realize what the time is? This phrase can also be used to make people aware of something. For example, do you realize you have left your car lights on? This is being helpful. Listen again to the other question Norman asks.
You're our son. How could you do this to us?
Norman asks David, how could you do this to us? Again, he isn't really asking a question. He is saying how upset he is. David apologizes for his action. Listen.
How could you do this to us?
I'm sorry for causing you so much worry, Dad.
In English, sorry is the word that you use to apologize. You might say, excuse me for minor things, for example, if you bump into someone. But sorry can be used in all situations. There are a few different ways of saying sorry. David says he is sorry for doing something. He is sorry for causing worry. Look at what he says.
I'm sorry for causing you so much worry, Dad.
Let's look at some other examples of this pattern. I'm sorry for doing something. Try with me. Being so late. I'm sorry for being so late. Making so much noise. I'm sorry for making so much noise. Forgetting your order. I'm sorry for forgetting your order. Another way of saying sorry is to say, I'm sorry to do something. For example, interrupt. I'm sorry to interrupt. You try. Take so long. I'm sorry to take so long. Say you failed your exam. I'm sorry to say you failed your exam. Or you can say you're sorry for something you did or didn't do at a particular time. I'm sorry I made you wait so long. I'm sorry I didn't tell you I would be late. Try a few of these at home. Forgot to pick you up. I'm sorry I forgot to pick you up. I wasn't home when you called. I'm sorry I wasn't home when you called. Didn't return your call. I'm sorry I didn't return your call. Now let's look at why David didn't call his father.
I'm sorry for causing you so much worry, Dad. I thought that you'd be angry. That's why I didn't tell you I couldn't study anymore.
David says, I thought you'd be angry. He is describing something he thought his father would do because he didn't call. Try saying this with David in the clip.
I thought that you'd be angry.
Try some phrases like this at home using I thought you would. Be upset. I thought you would be upset. Be interested in this book. I thought you would be interested in this book. You can use this to talk about how you think someone will feel about something and to talk about what you think they will do. For example, I thought you would like this film. Try another example. Help me with my homework. I thought you would help me with my homework. You can also use the negative. I thought you wouldn't like this film. Or you can also say, I didn't think you would like this film.
I didn't think you were ever going to finish.
Michelle, that's a bit rude.
Oh, I'm sorry for being so rude.
Oh, that's all right. I forgive you. This time. What have you got for us today?
Well, first I want you to look at this clip.
And Dad, there's something else. I'm with someone. And we have a baby boy. Dad? Dad, are you still there?
Did you say you were married?
Norman asks, did you say you were married? Maybe he didn't hear David, or else he didn't believe him. He's checking what he thought David said. Notice that because the question is in the past, did you? The rest of the sentence is in the past too. Did you say you were married? Now, Brenton, I'm going to say some things quietly and I want you and you to check what you think I said. But you at home have some extra help because what I say will be on the screen. Ready?
I'm all ears.
I'm going to a wedding.
Did you say you were going to a wedding?
Yes. The wedding is in Fiji.
Did you say the wedding was in Fiji?
I bought a new dress.
Did you say you thought I'm a mess?
No, I bought a new dress.
Did you say you bought a new dress?
Yes, it's made of silk.
Did you say it was made of silk?
Yes, you have very good hearing.
Did you say I had very good hearing?
You can stop now.
Did you say I could stop now?
Let's look at the clip again and we're going to see what David's father, Norman, wants him to do.
There's too much to think about. I want you to come home.
But I...
No buts. You need to come home.
Look carefully at the phrases, I want you to come home and you need to come home. What's the difference between need and want?
Well, I want a cup of coffee, but I don't need one. I can do without one.
That's right. And in the first example, Norman is telling David what he wants David to do. So he says, I want you to do something, not I want something. So I'm going to tell you what I want and you have to do it. But you only do it if I say I want you to. All right?
All right.
And you can help me at home by making up sentences with I want you to. Stand up. No, I didn't say I want you to.
Oops.
I want you to stand up. Clap your hands. I want you to clap your hands. Cross your arms. I want you to cross your arms. Sit down. Got you. I want you to sit down.
Oh dear, that's better.
Now, Brenton, are you my partner?
Well, yes, I'm your partner on this program.
Let's look at the clip and you'll see some different uses of the word partner.
I work at the market.
I'm going to be a partner in the business soon.
Did you say you were married?
Not exactly.
I have a partner. Her name is Rose.
The word partner is used in two different ways. First, David says he is going to be a partner in the business. He means he will be a part owner of the business with some other people. But when he says he has a partner and her name is Rose and they have a son, that is a different kind of partner.
So Rose is his partner in life. Is she his wife?
Well, she could be his wife. We don't know for sure. Partner can be a wife or a husband, or it can be the person you live with if you're not married.
Well, I'm glad we're partners, but not in that way.
And now it's time for us to say goodbye again.
Yes, but we'll be back for the next episode, when we'll be looking again at describing feelings.
And we'll find out whether David is going to go home and see his family.
So we hope you can join us for the next episode of Living English. Hello, and welcome again to Living English. Today, we're looking at reported speech. In our last episode of Sisters and Brothers, David, Anne's brother, telephoned his parents. He spoke to his mother and his father, who he hadn't spoken to for 2 years. In today's episode, he is telling the others about the conversation.
Goodbye. I'll see you soon. Yeah, I promise. I love you too.
Well, what did they say?
My mother said she was glad that I'm okay. She said she was happy to hear my voice. She told me that she's been very worried.
What about Dad? What did he say?
He said he was very angry, but that he forgives me. He told me that he loves me.
Of course he loves you. He's your father.
Did he say anything else?
Yes. He asked me to go home. He said they want to see us.
All of us?
Yes. They want to meet you. And Sam. They asked us to go to Singapore.
But we can't afford it.
He's sending us tickets.
Of course he is. He loves you, David. We all do. And now there's Rose and Sam too.
I'd love to meet your parents, David. And Sam wants to meet his grandparents. They're our family.
Look, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's all out now. We'll go as soon as possible.
You can come with me.
What about me? Can I come too?
You're not family, Steve.
David tells the others about the conversation with his father on the phone. Of course, they all want to know what David's father said and what his mother said. What is the question Sarah asks?
Well, what did they say?
She asks, what did they say? She is asking in the past tense about what someone else said. Repeat, what did they say, after Sarah.
Well, what did they say?
You try some other questions using this pattern. What did you do? What did you do? He win. What did he win? She find. What did she find? First, David tells the others what his mother said.
My mother said she was glad that I'm okay. She said she was happy to hear my voice. She told me that she's been very worried.
Let's look at all three of these statements. We've already worked out what the first statement was. I'm glad you're okay. The second statement was, she said she was happy to hear my voice. So what did David's mother actually say? I'm happy to hear your voice. She said she was happy to hear his voice. And what was the third statement? She told me that she's been very worried. So she actually said, I've been very worried. That statement is in the present perfect tense. Now let's listen to what David's father said to David.
What about Dad? What did he say?
He said he was very angry, but that he forgives me. He told me that he loves me.
David's father said three things too. Sometimes when we report what someone else has said, we use the present tense and sometimes the past tense. Let's look at the three things David reports his father said and work out what David's father actually said. He said he was very angry. What did he actually say? I am very angry. He said that he forgives me. What did he actually say? I forgive you. He told me that he loves me. What did he actually say? I love you. Let's look at David's father telling David what he wants him to do.
Bring Rose and our grandson. Your mother and I love you. We want to see you. We want to meet your family.
So Norman, David's father, made 4 statements. Let's turn those statements into reported or indirect speech. First, bring Rose and our grandson. What verb should we use? Told. He told me to bring Rose and their grandson. Notice that because bringing Rose and their grandson is something that is going to happen in the future, we can't use the past. We use the infinitive to bring. He told me to bring. The next statement was, your mother and I love you. We can use told again. You try. He told me that they love me. Or, he told me that they loved me is also correct. You can also leave out the word that. He told me they loved me. The third statement was, we want to see you. Use said. He said they want to see us. Or, he said they wanted to see us is also correct. And you can add that. He said that they wanted to see us. You could also use the verb ask. Try. He asked to see us. Finally, we want to meet your family. How would David report this using said? You try. He said they wanted to meet my family. And now it's time for us to meet Michelle again. Hello, Michelle.
Hello, Brenton.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Would you like to meet my family?
I would love to meet your family.
Let's look now at what Rose says she would love to do.
I'd love to meet your parents, David. And Sam wants to meet his grandparents. They're our family.
What would Rose love to do?
She would love to meet David's parents.
And what does Sam want to do?
He wants to meet his grandparents.
We can use many different verbs like this to express hopes and wishes about the future. Let's revise some of them using the phrase meet your parents. Love to. I'd love to meet your parents. Want to. I want to meet your parents. Hope to. I hope to meet your parents. Expect to. I expect to meet your parents. When are they going to go? Watch again.
I will go as soon as possible.
As soon as possible. How soon is that?
Very soon.
Let's look again at some words we can use to describe times in the future. Brenton, I'm going to ask you to do some things. You tell me when you'll do them. I'd like a cup of coffee. Can you get me one?
In a second.
And can you get my lunch?
In a minute.
When can you help me fix my car?
In a little while.
And when can we go home?
Soon.
All of these expressions mean a small time in the future. As we've seen before, if we want to say exactly when in the future, we say at a time, at 2:30, or in a length of time, in a few days. Now we're going to look at something called inflection or stress.
Oh, are you feeling stressed?
Not that kind of stressed. Let's look first at something Anne says.
You can come with me.
In English, usually one word in a sentence is said with more emphasis or stress than the others. Which word in this sentence is most stressed?
Me. She says, you can come with me.
That's right. Anne is going to Singapore already, so David and Rose can go with her. Changing the stress can change the meaning of a sentence. Brenton, try stressing different words in that sentence and we'll see how the meaning changes.
Okay. You. You can come with me.
If you say it like this, it means the person you are talking to can come, but others can't. It is also more like an order. You can come with me.
You can come with me.
Before we thought you couldn't come with me, but now you can. You can come with me.
You can come with me.
You can come with me, or I can go by myself. Let's look at another example of how inflection changes the meaning. You must go.
Oh, all right. Sorry.
What are you doing? Now let's look at how to say those same phrases with different inflections. What are you doing?
Looking at this travel brochure. I'm thinking of going to Thailand.
Oh, you must go. I went there last year. It's great.
So, what are you doing suggests that someone is doing something wrong.
What are you doing is asking a question, being curious and interested.
You must go is ordering someone to go away.
You must go is saying it would be really great for you to go. And you must have another look at today's episode and join us next time. Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye. I'll see you soon. Yeah, I promise. I love you too.
Well, what did they say?
My mother said she was glad that I'm okay. She said she was happy to hear my voice. She told me that she's been very worried.
What about Dad? What did he say?
He said he was very angry, but that he forgives me. He told me that he loves me.
Of course he loves you. He's your father.
Did he say anything else?
Yes. He asked me to go home. He said they want to see us.
All of us?
Yes. They want to meet you. And Sam. They asked us to go to Singapore.
But we can't afford it.
He's sending us tickets.
Of course he is. He loves you, David. We all do. And now there's Rose and Sam too.
I'd love to meet your parents, David. And Sam wants to meet his grandparents. They're our family.
Look, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's all out now. We'll go as soon as possible.
You can come with me.
What about me? Can I come too?
You're not family, Steve.
Hello, and welcome again to Living English. Today, we look at how to talk about what you hope for the future, and also a very small but very important word, if. But first, let's see today's episode of Sisters and Brothers. Now that Anne has found her brother and is going home, she has time for just one more meeting with her friend Sarah and Sarah's brother Steve. Here it is.
Well, you found your brother, we've ordered your wine, and tomorrow you're going home.
Yes. Sarah, thank you for everything.
But you'll come back, won't you?
Yes, if the wine sells well, I'll be back soon. I feel as if I have a second family here.
I'd love to come and see you in Singapore.
Oh, yes, I'll show you around. And you must meet my parents. That'd be great.
If our business goes well, I'll be able to afford it.
There's no ifs about it. You're a very good agent. I'm so happy you're my buyer here.
If you like, I'll come to Singapore with Sarah.
I'd like that very much. You can meet my parents too.
Do you think they'll like me?
Of course they'll like you. If I like you, they'll like you.
I think I better leave you two alone. Ring me if you need help with packing.
I've only just met you, and now you're leaving.
But I'll come back. If you want me to.
Let's look first at ways of expressing hopes for the future, telling someone what you would like to happen or wish to happen. Sarah wants Anne to come back to Australia.
Yes. Sarah, thank you for everything.
But you'll come back, won't you?
Sarah says, "You'll come back, won't you?" She hopes Sarah will come back, and she is also asking Sarah whether she'll come back. Practice with the clip.
But you'll come back, won't you?
Now practice some more examples at home with the pattern "You'll," won't you? Phone me. You'll phone me, won't you? Bring some food. You'll bring some food, won't you? Be back soon. You'll be back soon, won't you? Now try with some different pronouns. He'll be all right. He'll be all right, won't he? They'll come. They'll come, won't they? I'll win. I'll win, won't I? Now listen to how Sarah and Anne discuss what they hope for.
I'd love to come and see you in Singapore.
Oh, yes. I'll show you around. And you must meet my parents. That'd be great.
Sarah says, "I'd love to come and see you in Singapore." I'd love to. I would love to. This is how we express things we really want to do. Not things we know we will do, but things we might do. Practice with the clip.
I'd love to come and see you in Singapore.
Practice at home with some more examples of "I'd love to." Come to lunch. I'd love to come to lunch. Meet your friends. I'd love to meet your friends. Go to Sydney. I'd love to go to Sydney. Anne talks about what she thinks Sarah should do. Listen again.
Oh, yes. I'll show you around. And you must meet my parents. That'd be great.
Anne says, "You must meet my parents." Must is a strong word. Anne really wants Sarah to meet her parents. Must can also be used for an order. For example, "You must not smoke inside," or "You must stop at a red light." But in this example, Anne is telling Sarah something she really wants her to do. Practice saying, "You must meet my parents," with the clip.
Oh, yes. I'll show you around. Oh, yes. I'll show you around. And you must meet my parents.
Now let's look at that little word, if. First, let's look at how Anne uses the word if.
Yes, if the wine sells well, I'll be back soon.
We use if to talk about possibility, something that might happen or might not happen. This use of if is called conditional. So Anne says she'll be back if the wine sells well. The wine selling well is the condition for her coming back. There could be other conditions. Practice these using the phrase "I'll come back." If I have enough money. If I have enough money, I'll come back. If you want me to. If you want me to, I'll come back. If business is good. If business is good, I'll come back. Anne is not sure that the wine will sell well. If she was, she would use when, not if. When the wine sells, I'll come back. Anne uses the word if twice in this example. Listen again.
Yes, if the wine sells well, I'll be back soon. I feel as if I have a second family here.
Anne says she feels as if she has a second family. As if is the same as like. She feels like Sarah and her family are her own family, her second family. Listen now to Sarah thinking about the future possibilities.
And you must meet my parents. That'd be great.
If our business goes well, I'll be able to afford it.
There's no ifs about it.
The condition of Sarah being able to afford to go to Singapore, of having enough money, is business going well. What does Anne say about this?
There's no ifs about it.
Anne says there are no ifs about it. This means she is quite certain that business will go well, and Sarah will come to visit. Well, there are many more examples of if in this episode. It's a very iffy episode. Let's look at some more. First, what is the condition for Steve coming to Singapore?
If you like, I'll come to Singapore with Sarah.
The condition for Steve coming to Singapore is Anne wanting him to. And what is the condition for Anne's parents liking Steve?
Of course I'll like you. If I like you, I'll like you.
The condition for Anne's parents liking Steve is that Anne likes Steve. And of course, we know that Anne does like Steve. Anne is really saying here that she does like Steve, so her parents will too. She could say, I like you, so my parents will like you too. Hello, Michelle.
Hello, Brenton. Hello, everyone. What do you think will happen if Anne and Steve get together?
I think I hear wedding bells. And what have you got for us today, Michelle?
Some experiments. First, I've got a balloon. What will happen if I blow air into this balloon?
If you blow air into the balloon, it will get bigger.
You're right. And I'll get tired. Now I've got a balloon blown up. What will happen if I let the balloon go?
If you let the balloon go, it'll fly across the room.
Oh, right again. And it'll make a loud noise. Now I'm going to pour some water into this glass. What will happen if I don't stop pouring?
You'll make a mess.
Right, if I don't stop pouring, I'll make a mess. So I'd better stop. Now, Brenton, can I trust you?
I think so.
Good. Then you can help me. If you stand up, I'll show you what I want you to do. Right. Now, I'm going to fall back and you're going to catch me.
I think I can do that.
If you don't catch me, what will happen?
If I don't catch you, you'll fall.
Yes. And if you don't catch me, I won't speak to you.
Huh. Okay.
Oh! Thank you. Let's try a few more examples. What will I do if he doesn't catch me? If he doesn't catch me, I'll fall. He doesn't help me. If he doesn't help me, I'll cry. He isn't nice to me. If he isn't nice to me, I'll leave. Now, Brenton, there's another way of using if.
What's that?
We can talk about things that may never happen.
What's an example?
Okay, here's a globe of the world. Where would you like to go?
Oh. I'd love to go to Paris.
But you're not going to Paris, are you?
No, unfortunately.
But if you went to Paris, what would you do?
I'd go up the Eiffel Tower. If I went to Paris, I'd go up the Eiffel Tower.
Look at the question again. If you went to Paris, what would you do? We use the past tense with if to talk about things that might never happen. Not things we are actually going to do or plan to do, but things we imagine doing.
So, Michelle, where would you like to go?
I'd like to go to Indonesia.
And if you went to Indonesia, what would you do?
I'd visit Borobudur. If I went to Indonesia, I'd visit Borobudur. Why don't you try a couple at home? I'll say a city or country and something to do. Rome. See the Colosseum. If I went to Rome, I'd see the Colosseum. Sydney. Visit the Opera House. If I went to Sydney, I'd visit the Opera House. And tell me, Brenton, what would you do if you won $1 million in the lottery?
If I won $1 million, I'd give it all to you.
I don't believe you. If I won $1 million, I'd travel around the world. What would you do if you won $1 million?
While you're thinking about that, it's time for us to say goodbye. Hello. Well, welcome to today's episode of Living English, which is a very special episode because it's the last episode of the series. And today we'll be looking at ways of saying goodbye, as well as how to talk about what you'll be doing in the future. And of course, we say goodbye to Anne, Sarah, and her family, who we've come to know in our drama, Sisters and Brothers. So here's today's episode. See you again.
Well, I guess this is it. Sarah, thank you so much for all your help and for your kindness.
Please don't mention it. Well, thank you for trusting me to be your business partner.
And my friend. I'll be thinking of you all the time.
I wanted to thank you too, Sarah, for being so kind to my sister and looking after her so well. I'll be thinking of you too.
Thank you. Oh, it was great to meet you. And you too, Rose. I hope everything goes well in Singapore.
I'm looking forward to meeting David's parents. I hope they like me.
I'm sure they will. I'll be expecting a postcard from you, Anne. So you better send me one.
And I'll be waiting for a postcard too.
I'll be counting the days until you come to Singapore.
Attention please, this is the final call for Singapore Airlines flight SQ452 direct to Singapore. Could all passengers for this flight go immediately to gate lounge 3?
Goodbye. See you soon.
Goodbye.
I'll see you soon.
Oh, goodbye, Rose. Good luck. And you too, David. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Wait! I found him! I found a brother! What? Well, another one.
Well, our detective wasn't much use. I wonder if Anne will see Steve again. I wonder how David's reunion with his family in Singapore will go. And will they like Rose? I'm sure they will. First, let's look at how Anne and Sarah thank each other.
Sarah, thank you so much for all your help and for your kindness.
Please don't mention it. Oh, thank you for trusting me to be your business partner.
Sarah thanks Anne for her help and her kindness. You can thank people for things they give you or show you. Practice saying, "Thank you so much for all your help" with the clip.
And for your kindness. Thank you so much for all your help and for your kindness.
Now, in this episode, people talk about what they will be doing in the future. Let's find out what Anne will be doing.
I'll be thinking of you all the time.
Anne says to Sarah, "I'll be thinking of you all the time." I will be thinking of you. She uses will, so we know it's the future. And the ing ending on think tells us this is a continuous tense. She doesn't say, "I will think of you." This could be just one time. But "I will be thinking of you" means Anne will think of Sarah all the time or often. She won't stop thinking about her. This is called future continuous tense. We use it to talk about continuous actions we'll be doing in the future. Practice saying, "I'll be thinking of you all the time" with Anne in the clip.
I'll be thinking of you all the time.
And what will David be doing? Listen.
I'll be thinking of you too.
David will be thinking of Anne too. Practice with him.
I'll be thinking of you too.
And what will Sarah be doing all this time?
I'll be expecting a postcard from you, Anne, so you better send me one.
Sarah will be expecting a postcard from Anne. She won't be expecting it just at one time, but all the time until it comes. Here are two more examples of the future continuous. See if you can hear them and work out what Steve will be doing and what Anne will be doing.
And I'll be waiting for a postcard too.
I'll be counting the days until you come to Singapore.
Steve will be waiting for a postcard too. He will be waiting for a postcard as well as Sarah. Anne will be counting the days until she sees Steve again. Practice with me at home. What will Anne be doing? She'll be thinking of Sarah. What will David be doing? He'll be thinking of Sarah too. What will they be doing? They'll be thinking of Sarah. What will Steve be doing? He'll be expecting a postcard. And what else will Anne be doing? She'll be counting the days. When Anne says she'll be counting the days, she means she'll be waiting impatiently because she really wants Steve to come to Singapore. I wonder why. Hello, Michelle.
Hello, Brenton. Hello, everyone.
Well, you look pretty loaded up. What have you got there?
Well, today is a day for goodbyes, and our episode is all about the airport. So I thought we would look at some words and phrases to do with travel and airports.
Airports can be confusing places.
There are usually lots of signs, so you need to know what to look for. Let's have a look at some signs at airports.
It is confusing, isn't it?
But luckily, the words we use are the same all over the world. So, Brenton, if you arrive at the airport, where do you go?
Well, you have to check in.
But first, you might have a choice between the domestic terminal and the international terminal.
Right. A terminal is a place where transport leaves from and arrives. We can also talk about a bus terminal.
Where does Anne leave from?
Well, she leaves from the international terminal because she is going to another country. If she was travelling from one Australian city to another Australian city, she would go to the domestic terminal.
And where do you go when you're inside the terminal?
Well, you go to the check-in. If you need to buy a ticket, you would go to the ticket counter. To check in is to confirm that you have arrived.
You also check in at a hotel, and when you leave, you check out. Anne already has a ticket. She has booked her ticket, so she doesn't need to buy one now. She has a booking or a reservation, but she still needs to check in her baggage or her luggage. She also has to get her seat allocation. This is a ticket telling her which seat on the plane she has. But she also needs to know some other things. What does she need to know?
Well, she needs to know what time the plane is leaving and where she has to go to catch it.
How can she find that out?
Well, the airline official will tell her.
Yes, and there'll be an announcement.
And the information will be on the TV monitors in the airport.
Let's practice the language for this. So I have my ticket and I have my luggage.
Put your bags on the scales, please. Now, where are you going?
I'm going to Hong Kong.
Let me check your ticket. And here's your boarding pass.
What time is the flight leaving?
It leaves at 11:25 from gate 7. It will be boarding in 10 minutes.
So my bags can be bags, luggage, or baggage. My boarding pass tells me which seat to sit on in the plane. My plane is called my flight. Boarding, the plane is getting on it, and I do that at the gate or the gate lounge. Listen to the announcement in the story and see if you can hear the details about Anne's flight and some new terms.
Attention please, this is the final call for Singapore Airlines flight SQ452 direct to Singapore. Could all passengers for this flight go immediately to gate lounge 3?
What did we find out about Anne's flight?
The flight number, the destination, the number of the gate it is boarding from, and what time Anne has to board. Listen again.
Attention please, this is the final call for Singapore Airlines flight SQ452 direct to Singapore. Could all passengers for this flight go immediately to gate lounge 3?
So the flight number is SQ452. It's some letters and some numbers. The destination is Singapore. It's direct to Singapore.
So it isn't stopping anywhere else. There are no stopovers.
And it's departing or leaving from gate lounge 3.
Or sometimes we could just say gate 3.
And when is it leaving?
Immediately, straight away. Anne had better hurry.
Yes, but first she has to finish saying goodbye. Let's look at how Anne and her friends say goodbye.
Goodbye. See you soon.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. See you soon.
Oh, goodbye, Rose. Good luck. And you too, David. Bye.
See ya.
Well, I guess they say goodbye.
That seems to be the word.
It depends a bit on how formal the occasion is and how long the person is going for. Anne is going for a long time, so they say goodbye. But if she was going for a short time, they might say bye or bye-bye or even ta-da.
What's another way of saying goodbye?
Goodbye. See you soon.
Steve says, see you again soon. It's a way of saying that you will see that person again. It's not goodbye forever. You can say, see you again, or see you soon, or see you later, or just see you. Or you can say, see you at a specific time. Practice at home with me. Tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Next week. See you next week. in a little while. See you in a little while at 3 o'clock. See you at 3 o'clock.
Sarah also said, good luck.
You might say good luck to someone who is going to do something difficult.
And we've got something difficult to do, Michelle.
Yes. Now we have to say goodbye.
We've come to the end of this series of Living English. We hope you've enjoyed watching and that you have learned some English language.
And I hope you will be able to keep practicing your English and that you will find it useful and fun. Thank you for watching. We've certainly enjoyed presenting the program.